Hi, my name is Tim Baranik, and I am a group member of group number 9 in the Film and Media's discussion. Our group members include Abigail Murin, Bethany Lynch, Olsi Bendula, Marcin Krysiak, and Colin Perry. So the point of our discussion group was to look at the differences between the treatment and issues people with disabilities faced in pre and post 1990 films and how the people with disabilities were affected and represented in these films. The two films we took a look at were The Men, which was created in 1950, and I Am Me, which was made in 2015. Today in our project, we are going to discuss the discrimination of people with disabilities, the issues they face trying to live independently, which sometimes is very difficult, the negative view they receive from the rest of society due to their disabilities, and the caregiver issues, which often falls into the hands of the family members of those who are disabled.
I think that one theme we talked about a lot developed through a discussion of the movie The Men, and this is whether people with disabilities can be in essence cured. Stemming from this, we talked about how, over time, perception regarding people with disabilities has changed. In the movie The Men, the soldiers that returned from war were often depressed, dejected, and had lost all hope, including Ken. Yet, I thought about today and the online activity that we did and how much more hope is involved for people who are disabled. Especially with the Paralympic Games activity where we learned about all the athletes in Rio. This activity was especially powerful for me because of the success of students, specifically from the University of Illinois. I had no idea the university's resources and strengths for these such impressive athletes. Specifically, the McFadden sisters were very inspiring. I read articles about them from major newspapers, New York Times, Washington Post, and from then on saw them all over the news. So learning about the success of these athletes has sparked my interest and has led me to want to spread the word.
This group project has really influenced my perspective on disabilities and people with disabilities. The project has allowed me to go inside the minds of people with disabilities and see firsthand the issues that they face and how it affects their daily life. A couple of things that I learned is how much people with disabilities just want everyone in society to view them just like everybody else, which is exactly what they are. Not to be talked down on or babied, but to have people focus on their abilities, not their disabilities. Writing and responding to the discussion post was also a very beneficial task for me because I learned a lot about these people and their disabilities. For example, when we discussed the movies, other people's comments allowed me to say things I either looked right over or misinterpreted. It brought things into light that I would have never realized had such a big impact and was such a big issue for people with disabilities, such as the transition from an institution to their home. The discussion allowed me to combine people's different thoughts and opinions to help build my own awareness and open up my eyes to things I might not have already noticed.
Hi, my name is Olsi Bendula, and today I'll be talking about my experience during our group project for Sped 117. Getting the opportunity to be a part of this project was a huge learning experience for me. As the weeks went on, I got the chance to think about a lot of issues that I wouldn't normally think about. Looking back on what I learned, I believe that I'm a lot more aware of the different challenges that people with disabilities face in society today. Having had the chance to read and respond to my group members' posts was great because it allowed me to see certain topics from a different point of view that I wouldn't necessarily consider before. Everyone out there has a different stories and different viewpoints on things, and having the chance to read about some of these definitely broadened my way of thinking and increased my awareness when it comes to a lot of these issues.
Film Media
Thank you.
Discussion Group helped reinforce for me that despite efforts to improve services and civil rights for persons with disabilities, problems still exist. The Men was produced in 1950 and I Am Me in 2015. Despite a 65-year difference in when these movies were made, discrimination, harassment, independent living challenges, limited services to support family and caregiver needs, and negative perceptions or ignorance about the abilities of persons with disabilities remain. Our group identified a number of resources and shared unique perspectives that helped me build my knowledge of issues. I also became more aware of the underlying fear that is experienced by persons with disabilities and their families through the discussion.
Hi, my name is Marcin Krysiak, and I was part of the Film Media discussion group. Overall, I thought that the group discussion experience was very beneficial for me personally, because I have never taken a special education course in college, so it's great to be able to bounce ideas off of other classmates, especially when I wasn't too familiar with the topics. In terms of the discussions and films we watched, I think the thing that resonated with me the most was the overarching theme of discrimination and harassment of people with disabilities that people with disabilities face on a daily basis. I was expecting the films to show that post-1990s movies demonstrated that the treatment of people with disabilities in society had improved, but as we saw in the film I Am Me, this was not the case. The film showed that while certain laws improving the lives of people with disabilities are now in place, society still ostracizes people with disabilities. These films and discussions have helped me realize the importance of treating people with disabilities just like everyone else, and looking more at their abilities, not their disabilities. Overall, I thought the film media discussion was a very interesting one because it covered the different topics we've discussed in class, with real-world examples like these two
Hi, my
films.
name is Abby Mirren, and this entire class, especially the group discussions, really opened my eyes up to a lot of themes and trends surrounding people with disabilities that have lasted for a very, very long time throughout our history. While my group was able to discuss a variety of themes, everything from independent living issues and policy to different transitions revolving around disability, what has stuck with me the most is the need for social change. Policy, government, and leadership changes throughout time have made incredible strides for people with disabilities in our culture today, without a doubt. But the real change really needs to begin within society. People need to educate themselves on disability culture. They need to move towards a more united humanity rather than one that's separated based on your abilities, disabilities, or differences. This is the same with a lot of issues in our world today, and I want to genuinely thank my group for coming together and showing me that change is towards a better and safer society for people with disabilities begins truthfully with us when it comes to especially harassment and discrimination against those people with disabilities. So